Let's talk about painting strategy. What do I mean by painting strategy? Basically, you need to come up with a plan or a sequence of how you're going to paint your model. First step would be your instruction sheet. Always look at your instruction sheet and note all the colors for the different parts so you see how they coordinate with each other or, go together. Second step is to look at the colors on the box. They always give you color callouts. And then come up with the plan. The first step in the instructions on this Jupiter C rocket was building the rocket itself. So I put the rocket all together. I primed it with some gray primer so that I could see where I needed to fill on the seam line, which I did. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some white primer and go over it. Reason being, you need to prime with white for bright colors like reds, yellows, whites. Anything that's a lighter color will be more vibrant if you prime white. My other colors, silvers, grays, things like that, I'm going to use gray primer. And I highly recommend spray painting big assemblies. You can try to hand brush, but you're always going to end up with brush strokes and things like that, and it'll get frustrating. Spray painting's easy. We use what's called a rattle can for obvious reasons. You want to figure out what color the parts are and if you can assemble them and paint them after you assemble it. So if you notice, I have my Gantry base here, and I've put probably more than half of it together because I know that I can spray this whole thing with primer. I'll mask off the gray areas where the walkways are. Then I'll hit it with some white primer and then red paint. The separate parts over here are parts that I need to paint beforehand. In other words, I can't glue these on and paint it the way I want to or mask off the bottom. So I've separated them into 3 groups here. I have my gray parts, I have my silver part, and I have red parts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the instructions and look at the photograph and determine which colors go where and make a plan. Okay? That's your strategy. So let's take a look at how to get the parts ready to paint. We figured out what colors go on what parts. So in order to keep things organized, what I do is, to prep the parts, I mount each part on its own craft stick or popsicle stick. These things are invaluable. Use them for everything on the workbench. I mount them with double stick crepe tape or masking tape. You can buy this online. It's listed as crepe tape, double-sided crepe tape, or you can go to a sporting goods store. People use this to wrap their golf club grips. It's a double stick masking tape. So what we do is we put a piece of the masking tape on each stick, and then I find a spot on the part that's inconspicuous, either a gluing surface or somewhere that's not going to show when the model's done, and I mount my part to that. And as you can see, what I've done is I've mounted all the parts of the same color together. These are all my red parts. These are my gray parts. This part is silver. And this piece is going to be gray in the walkways plus red on the outside. And I use floral foam, which you can buy at any craft store, to mount the sticks into. So all my parts are mounted. They're all segmented into colors. I'm going to take them over to the paint booth, prime them, and get ready for paint. All the parts are now ready to paint. I've cleaned each part up, I've mounted it to its own painting stick, and I've primed the parts either gray or white depending on what color I'm going to paint them. I'm going to use Revell spray cans or spray color to paint each group of parts. I've picked out the 4 main colors: red, white, gray, and aluminum. And I'm going to shoot each group of parts over in the paint booth. We'll bring them back and we'll take a look and see how they come out. The parts are all painted. There are 3 main color groups: gray, white, and red. There are some other colors splashed in, some silver and black, but they're just details. Overall, you can see we're all ready now. I'll start putting sub-assemblies together and we'll see how the parts fit after painting.